Doomsday Clock issue 12 sees Dr. Manhattan realize that he was wrong about everything and nothing lasts forever as he relives his life with Janie, getting their picture taken at the fair and her watch being broken by a man. In the present, Superman approaches Manhattan, asking who he is, but as Manhattan tells him that he will be destroyed by Clark or he will destroy everything, the heroes of Russia converge on Superman, wanting him to answer for the crimes against the Russian people. Black Adam, however, tells Posar to stand down since Superman will answer for his crimes, but Karnak will be the one to do it, telling them to join his country. The Russians refuse as Manhattan watches this and much else unfold, as the two sides fight across the streets of Washington. Across the world, the many hero teams of the different nations assemble to protect their country's interests, as Superman continues to battle the Russian and Kandaki forces. While in Gotham, Reggie is assaulted by a racist shop owner who thinks the boy is trying to break into his shop. Suddenly, the man is stopped by Alfred, who knocks him out as Reggie tells him to leave him alone. Alfred, however, says that he needs his assistance, and so does Superman, since he's the only one who can tell them where to find Ozymandias, giving the boy the Rorschach mask back. However, when Alfred tries to tell him that he's read Walter's journal, Reggie refuses to hear Rorschach's name. He slams Alfred against the shop front, saying that his eyes are open now and he sees that the world is going to end, just like his did. Alfred says that it will unless someone saves it, while on the news, Superman is branded a war criminal by Iran, as Manhattan knows that there is no hope and all is lost and he cannot find it. Reggie says that every morning his father would wake him with a smile on his face, telling him that no matter what came his way, he was to make the most of it, and there was good in people, but you have to look for it, and never give in to the dark thoughts. But he knows that there are people who do, and who want others to suffer because of it, and those people are going to win, since the world is drowning in hate and anger now. Superman continues to fight the other heroes and villains as Lois watches the live news reports from Washington in horror. Soon, Batman arrives to meet Reggie and Alfred, saying that he tried to warn him and he's sorry that he didn't listen, but Reggie knows that it doesn't matter now. Manhattan watches the battle unfold and suddenly a car is flung at a mother and child hiding nearby, but Superman steps in to save them, shouting at Manhattan to do something, but he says that he doesn't help him since he's already seen it happen. Superman is blasted, falling to his knees as he says he cannot do this alone. Manhattan knows that in 4 minutes everything will end and remembers the same feeling he had way back in 1985 after Adrian delivered the alien squid to Earth, killing millions while he killed Walter Kovacs, becoming part of the lie that Adrian had manifested. Lex Meemaw tells Lois to leave and write her article and tell the world the history of it has been changed by forces beyond their universe, and he wants Lois to give him credit as he was the one who uncovered it. He retrieves a vibrational emitter weapon, planning on going to meet someone as Mime and Marionette continue their crime spree with the tied up comedian in the back seat. Batman meanwhile tells Reggie that he knows who John Osterman is, and because of that Reggie knows that that's why he can't put the mask on again, since his father never got through to Rorschach. Rorschach was in fact getting into his father's head, driving him insane. Batman says that he knows the boy sees a monster when looking at the mask, but he needs to take it and change it, making it into something else. Superman confronts Manhattan, demanding to know how he can just stand there. John tells him about how his world had a chance at peace, but he left it and it was destroyed and he can still see it burning. He tells Superman that he is behind the changes of the Man of Steel's life, the loss of mentors never known and friends he's forgotten, as well as the death of his parents. He tells Clark that he changed his life merely out of curiosity and wants to know if he will destroy him because of it, or will Manhattan defend himself despite his sins. Superman's eyes burn red and he rushes Manhattan, throwing a punch, but instead of hitting Manhattan, he hits Posar, who is trying to attack Manhattan from behind. Manhattan is confused as to why Superman would defend him, but Superman says that he doesn't know what to think about all this, but he knows right now he needs to make a choice. He tells John there might be a third option that he never saw, asking him about the woman in the photograph he saw also on the ground, saying that Manhattan is creating them every time he takes a step, so he must find it important. Manhattan says that Janie was important, and Superman tells him that the darkness he sees takes everything he has to save the world, and he needs to make a choice now. Manhattan now understands, raising his hands and saying that everything ends. Manhattan's blue light engulfs the world, swallowing it all in a black void, and after a while a spark of light emerges as Kal-El's rocket speeds away from the destroyed Krypton, landing on Earth as the metaverse forms around the last son of Krypton. Later, Pa Kent tells a young Clark it's dangerous to show off his powers as he heads to his prom. In 1940, Alan Scott's lantern is moved out of his reach in a time of need, but Manhattan later moves it back, giving him the powers of the Green Lantern again. Clark leaves his parents for his prom, and as they drive home, the car is about to be smashed into by a truck, but Superboy arrives, saving the car, all because the Justice Society exists again. Therefore, Superboy does, after being inspired by them, and because of him now existing, so does the Legion of Superheroes. The metaverse catches up to the present, where Bubastis feels the changes as the Legion ring glows brightly and Johnny Thunder remembers becoming the Thunderbolt. Adrian rushes to the cells, finding that Johnny and the Legion ring are gone as the future and the past are now free. Superman continues to be beaten by the heroes and villains until suddenly something pulls them off of him. Superman recognizes the woman who helped him as Saturn Girl, who along with the Legion of Superheroes and the Justice Society of America arrive back to help Superman. Johnny Thunder attacks Black Lightning as Dr. Manhattan sees the Man of Tomorrow, and for the first time he is inspired. Manhattan sees Superman reveal himself to Metropolis in 1937, and decades later, the Speed Force is born, and the metaverse rattles before it, shifting Superman's timeline forward, dividing realities and creating the multiverse, giving birth to Earth 2, which after a crisis of an infinite Earths is divided, with Earth 1 becoming the unexplored Earth 1985. Manhattan understands now why these worlds exist, since every time there is a change in the metaverse, the multiverse grows to preserve every era of Superman. He sees more crises with Flashpoint and then the Rebirth, which gives birth to Earth 52. He looks to the future, seeing in 1 year the old gods bombard Earth with energies, altering the metaverse yet again, and in 2025 a crisis called the Time Masters erupts, and again Superman is revitalized. Manhattan knows that no matter how much Superman's existence is attacked, he survives and is the North Star of the metaverse. In 2026, the timeline is restored and Earth 5G is born. And in 2026, Superman goes on a quest to find Bruce Wayne's lost daughter so she can save Bruce's son. 4 years later, the Secret Crisis begins, throwing Superman into a fight with Thor himself and a green behemoth stronger than even Doomsday, who dies protecting Superman from these invaders. Because of all this, Superman's timeline shifts forward again. He looks even further into the future, seeing Superman land on Earth in 2016, where the Kents and their child Colin Kent find the baby Kal-El. Again, the dates change to 2162, where the Kents and their child Clara find Kal-El again. No matter what happens, Manhattan knows that a rocket arrives, a child is loved, and a Superman is made. He knows Superman will show the people the way, and in a millennium, they will embrace the ways of Superman. Superman defends the people as Lois finishes up her article with help from Bruce Wayne, and Adrian believes that he has won again. Batman, however, confronts him with Rorschach, asking exactly what he did, since everything that cleared Superman's name was on his ship. Adrian says that he left it there for them, and this is all going according to his plan. There is a bright light as Adrian, Rorschach, Mime, Marionette, and Comedian are teleported to the Washington Monument, met by Manhattan, who knows what Adrian has done. Adrian goes about explaining his plan, saying that they should all go home now since everybody lives today. Adrian is suddenly shot in the chest by Comedian, who is then blasted by the arriving Lex with his vibrational weapon, which sends him back to the world he came from at the exact moment Eddie falls from his window. Reggie tends to Adrian, who says that the kid finally got his revenge, but Reggie says that he doesn't want revenge, he wants justice, ripping the mask off and using it to cover Vight's wounds, saying that he will live and pay for his crimes and rot in prison. The terrified Adrian says that he's not Rorschach, and Reggie says that he isn't, since Rorschach is him. Erica meanwhile demands Manhattan give give them back their child, but John says that they have a daughter on the way and they will see their son soon again, since he will need an anchor here in this world just like he did. Manhattan teleports away, meeting with Carver Coleman again, and apologizing not for explaining himself better, telling the man to not be afraid of what he feels. Because of this, Carver reveals to the world that he is gay, which causes him to be blackballed from the movie industry, until he makes a return in the 1960s, winning an Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor. In the 1970s, Carver became a spokesperson for getting homosexuality removed as a mental disorder in America, and in 2005 died in the care of his partner. In the present, Alan Scott leads an investigation into the so-called Superman theory as the people's heroes and the JLA begin a dialogue thanks to Superman. Clark and Lois meanwhile walk the streets of Metropolis, and Lois wonders why Clark is so quiet, but he's listening to the news. He knows there is a long road ahead of them as Lex says that he can improve on Vight's ideas. Lois knows that Superman succeeded in reaching out to Manhattan and changing him, and he soon will change someone else, since if you have faith in that, then there's hope for everyone. Clark and Lois soon meet with Jonathan and Martha Kent, and Clark is happy to see his parents once again. Manhattan returns to his world in 1992, where he walks through the ashes of New York, but soon goes back through time, fixing Janie's watch before beginning to repair his destroyed world. Reggie meanwhile thanks the dead Byron Lewis for what he did for him as a young girl obsessed with Ozymandias grows up to become the villain known as Nostalgia, along with her own Bubastis. Manhattan remembers hesitating when he tried to kill Erica Mason, knowing what her son was to become, since he will bring great happiness to a woman he cares for. However, he cannot see it thanks to his visions blurring through his experiments. He soon realizes that the blind spot he could see in the child's future is him, so he takes the boy from Erica soon after his birth, looking after the child, and soon it grows, wanting to make a wish on a shooting star over their heads. John's mind soon wanders back to what could have been if he didn't enter the IF chamber, seeing a world where he would marry Janie and they would have a daughter and son. He knows it's nice to daydream once in a while as he gifts his powers to Mars and to the child, so the planet has its own protector. Elsewhere at the Hollis house, Laurie and Dan wonder if it really was Manhattan who fixed everything. There's suddenly a knock at the door and their daughter Sally goes to see who it is. Sally is met by a boy in a suit and a briefcase, who says that a friend of her mother and father brought him here and he said that they would know what to do. Sally invites the boy in for some pancakes, learning that the boy, who bears Manhattan's symbol, is named Clark. Doomsday Clock issue 12 had to be one of the most satisfying endings to a comic series that I have ever read. Ignoring the unfortunate delays the book was hampered by thanks to office politics or whatnot, it's an absolute achievement that Jeff Johns and Gary Frank were able to pull this kind of story off and have it make sense, and also change the DC universe in a truly unique way that has me excited for the future of it. As a Superman fan, I absolutely loved how the series was, in essence, a love letter to the character and his importance to the universe of DC, with this issue hitting home that he is indeed the crux of almost everything that happens in the universe. Johns has managed to converge everything so that fans of literally everything DC has ever done since their conception will be happy, as well as set up a few things that I absolutely hope to God get a follow-up. I'm going to give this issue a 10 out of 10.